live. All right, fire up the music. Let's go.
Hit it. Do it.
Welcome to Earl and the Idiot, the show that gives you the answers you need to take your business to the next level. With Earl Flormata, one of Vancouver's most sought-after business and marketing consultants, author of Business Engine Optimization, consultant to over 60 successful businesses, an all-around evil marketing genius with a combined total of more than $70 million worth of sales to his credit. And some idiot. Okay, here we go.
I've been meaning to say every single time, and I keep forgetting, when you point at me, for whatever reason, when this thing goes live, it swaps our positions, and you're always pointing the wrong direction.
Well, it makes sense because I'm an idiot.
There you go. And I'm like, wait, maybe we should tell him this time.
Yeah. No, notice that last time. I wasn't sure if he was doing that every time. Okay, so you're, as far as those watching out, this is Earl over there.
Right. But on our Zoom call, it's flipped. So you are pointing the right direction while we're talking. But then when it goes live, for whatever reason, it always sticks me on the left. So
I'll just do this. That's Earl over there.
There you go.
Like Wolverine.
Or just do the generic one of these or whatever. Who knows?
Yeah.
So, all right. So it's funny, how we just don't even say hi to each other anymore. We just start the show because otherwise all the small talk is gone when we start the show.
Yeah, exactly. Some of our small talk is hilarious.
All right, boom. Let's just go.
Yeah. So, our small talk is great. And like I hate using a good line and wasting it on just our small talk before the show. You should it's solid gold, man. The people deserve to hear our witty banter.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're doing it a different time today, so I appreciate you doing it early. But you said that you had to go fight a plumbing thing. Did you win?
I did win. Yeah, it was remarkable. We have a sink in this place, and it's dumb. Like the sink is all fine, but where the handle is, there's just this part of it that keeps popping off. Like I guess something broke, and it's just purely cosmetic. But we're selling this place, so we want to have everything as nice as possible. So I had to get a whole new sink for it. And it was one of those things, I'm a grown ass man, but I still had to have my dad come around. He actually has some plumbing experience, and more importantly, he has the plumbing tools. So he came by.
There's my embarrassing confession. I can't use tools at all. Like my dad fired me from painting because I couldn't paint a straight line. So it's just like, just son, this isn't your thing. Like 30 minutes into it, he's just looking at this atrocious mess I have on the wall. He's like, yeah, this isn't for you.
Yeah, you're clearly going to grow up to work in marketing.
Go get your books and go back to studying, son. I think the computer is going to be your thing. I'm like, all right, Dad. Yeah. You'd think that some of these skills were transferable though, because he put me in martial arts and cadets. So I'm running around shooting things. Like apparently I'm really good with a gun. Didn't think I was till a buddy of mine brought me out to the range, gave me an assault rifle, threw a golf ball into the range, and said, "Shoot the golf ball." Cool, no problem. Hit the golf really easy with a sight and an assault rifle, right? He's like, "Oh yeah, okay." While it's rolling, hit it again. I'm like, "Oh, cool." So I hit it again. He's like, "Now push it up the hill." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." Shoot it up the hill. He's like, "When was the last time you shot a gun?" 20 years ago. How are you this good? Paintball. Because paintball does not go straight. So the paintballs do not go straight. So you play paintball long enough, you just get good because you have no choice, right? Because they're always like, meow, meow. It's like, God damn it, I keep missing this stupid thing. So there you go. So
yeah, you'd think that something in there would translate over. Can you field strip a gun? Do they teach you that in cadets?
I used to be able to. So yeah, field strip it, put that together. They time you and everything, blah blah blah. Now I'm rusty as hell. But yeah, there you go. But then martial arts, I can sing. Give me a 6-foot staff, give me a knife, whatever. You point to the bad guy's eye, it's gone, right? You ask me to hit a nail with a hammer, and I'm the dumbest guy in the universe. I can't hit the head. Oh yeah, we were laying carpet.
You learned this, yeah.
Oh, we were laying carpet, and my wife and I are putting the strips into the cement, and you have to like one hit these things. You can't really miss, otherwise it chips the cement and screws the whole thing up. And, I have completely destroyed one so far, and they're all bent funny, and the cement is all over the place. And my wife's like, wham, 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 looks at me, looks back, looks at me, shakes her head. I was like, nope, wasn't cut out to do this.
You learn how to swing a hammer by when you have to hold the nail and you hit it with the hammer. You hit your thumb like half a dozen times, and you're suddenly like, I really should learn how to hit this nail, and then you get good at it.
No, fair
So
enough.
okay, before we start, I got to give a shout out. Here's our business card of the week. This is does it come backwards? What do you
Jason.
Jason. This is Jason from BZ Marketing, BEAZY. This is the Z
Oh, yeah.
in Canada. He is the first guy that I didn't know beforehand to recognize me from the podcast at an event we went to recently.
There you go. He's like, hey, you're that idiot.
He didn't say that. He didn't say that. He said he said afterwards that he was thinking of saying it, but he didn't, because maybe he was worried I wasn't. Maybe he was worried he didn't have me right. He was mistaken, and if it wasn't me, he might not have. The person who he was speaking to might not have appreciated that. But anyone else out there, if you come up to me and recognize me and say, "Hey, aren't you that idiot?" Then we'll give you a shout out on the show next week. This, of course, this is an unfortunate reality for me, though. It puts more pressure on, because now I know people are actually watching.
Yeah.
It's real to me now. I was a little unsure if anyone was actually tuning in, and we were just having a good time. So maybe I'll choke now that I know people are actually tuning in.
There you go. Uh-oh. So the show just fell downhill right when he got famous.
Yeah, suddenly I got nervous. You're a business.
Right.
So all right.
There you go. So today's topic. Oh, there you go.
Today's topic.
Not too bad. We're 9 minutes in, so we're
9 minutes in. That's all right.
Below average, so that's good.
Yeah. So mentors, the fresh makers.
Mentors, the fresh makers. There you go.
I came up with that before the show, and so I had to deliver it. So we're talking about mentors in business. So let me just right out of the gate say, Earl, how dare you? I don't need a mentor. I'm an important business person. Why do I need someone to tell me what to do? So there, I'm crossing my arms. You can't see it.
There you go. Well, it's the same reason why people have a coach, right? Like, Michael Jordan had a coach. He's the best basketball player arguably ever, right? Tiger Woods had a coach. He's the best golf player actually arguably ever. And like, it's the ability to see what you can't see by someone who's been there and done that. And because when you're in the PSA, you see a really important business owner, right? And the problem is, once in a while, a really important business owner forgets that they should be strategic, and instead they're rolling up their sleeves or being tactical. And the problem is they're down in the ditch with everybody else, working their ass off, and that's commendable, right? But the problem is, if you're in the trenches, you can't see what's coming. You can't see what's ahead of you. You can only see just the 2 feet in front of you, and that's really all there is to it. So the purpose of having a mentor is just having a sounding board who knows what they're doing, who's been where you are, right? Like the perfect kind of mentor is someone who's like 5-10 years ahead of you, but down the same path you're heading, right? And the reverse is also true, right? The best kind of mentee, the best kind of like client for a coaching thing is somebody who's 10 years before you, right? That makes sense?
Yeah, I got you. You find someone who's walking the path you've already walked.
Well, because then they're gonna help you not make the same mistakes.
Hopefully,
right? A good mentor. Well, a good mentor has made all the mistakes that you're about to make, right? And they get to know you as a person. And okay, now don't get me wrong. They're not going to avoid every mistake, because some lessons have to be hard learned, right? Yeah. And I can't remember if I said this on this show, but I know I said it to you before. It's like, don't touch the stove, don't touch the stove, don't touch the stove. You know what? Frickin' lick it. See what happens. Right? It's just like, yeah, you go to the hospital a bit. It's just your tongue, it'll grow back. But sometimes the kids just they don't want to learn certain things. Sometimes the students don't want to learn certain things. It's like, okay, you know what? This one won't kill you. Let's let him step on the landmine and see what happens and see how he handles it. Right? So, they're there to help you avoid the ones that'll kill you, right? But sometimes they're like, you know what, their head's a little too big for their body. Let's see what happens when they step on this one.
Little landmine never hurt anybody.
Yeah, there you go. Controlled, obviously.
Yeah.
Don't let them step on the ones that'll destroy their business or their life. But just because sometimes they just won't listen. And mentor or not, teacher or not, some lessons you just got to learn the hard way, right?
Yeah. So what's an example of a time where you've allowed someone to, or either you've allowed someone or your mentor has allowed you to step on a minor landmine and blown off a
So
toe or two?
here's one. I keep, look, one of my mentees, God love him, but the guy keeps swinging for the fences. Like everything he wants to do is hit a home run, hit a home run, hit a home run. And the problem with depending on home runs means that when you swing and you miss, you get nothing, like absolutely nothing, because you're swinging so hard. So, so I keep telling them, get singles and doubles, get singles and doubles, for baseball analogy, like singles and doubles. Just hit those singles and doubles, and you'll eventually build enough of a baseline that you can take the big swings and not be completely destitute if you miss, right? And so he took on a bunch of gigantic, like like $100 billion deals early on, and he flubbed a whole bunch of them. And he's like, "Oh, so close! I was so close." And he's like, if I only had more experience, I'm like, "Yeah, if I only hit some more singles and doubles, right? You'd have the experience." So it's like going whale hunting. If you go whale hunting for the only purpose of hunting the whale, but you don't do any fishing between getting the whale and not getting the whale, you'll starve to death, right? You need the strength, you need the protein, right, to build up that muscle so that you can go whale hunting. Otherwise, there's no way in hell. If you can't catch your fish, you can't catch a whale, right?
Yeah.
So there you go. So there's one of the times that I had to let them learn something. So you know what? Here, have all the big deal flow you can choose, and I'm going to watch it blow up in your face, and I'm going to watch you cry about it, and then I'm going to kick you in the shin and say, "Hey, how about those singles and doubles?" So
do you ever just mentor people for the entertainment value of watching them make flubs?
Oh, sometimes it's fun. Right? So yeah, I guide them, and if they just absolutely refuse to, all right, let's see what happens. I'll break out the popcorn, right? I'll sit back and watch, right? Because you can, what's that say? You can bring the horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. So if it doesn't want to drink, you ain't doing nothing.
So do you find that like there's definitely an entrepreneur personality type, right?
Yeah, you have to be smart enough to do it on your own and stupid enough to try. Right? So you need that mixture of courage and stupidity, right? You need both, because if you really thought things through, I mean, like what's the failure rate in business, right? Like some ungodly number at 5 and at 10 years, it's like, man, all those businesses no longer exist. Oh well, yeah, that's great. So from an entrepreneurial standpoint, you have to be willing to try new things, right? The risk averse ain't never going to get there, right?
So do you find that the entrepreneur mindset makes people more able to have a mentor, or does it make them less interested in it because they think they can do it on their own?
It's not necessarily the entrepreneurial mindset. It's whether they can put their own ego aside long enough, right? So if they can put their own ego aside long enough, then there you have it, right? So it's more of an ego pride thing, right? If their ego and pride is too big, they won't accept the mentor, right? And that's just kind of the way it works, right?
What do you find? Do you find it's easy to get people to accept the idea of mentorship, or do they bristle a bit and dig in their heels, or is it some do, some don't?
Some do, some don't, right? So some of them want to blaze their own path, and I mean it's commendable, but like there's nothing really new under the sun, really, truly, right? So there was always something similar, or something with a similar structure or architecture that someone's seen before, and it might not make any sense to you at the time, but when you look back and you go, oh yeah, those are really the same, aren't they? And if you're not willing to take a mentor on to show you the way, then you get to step on every landmine by yourself, right? So and some of those might take you out, so there you go.
All right. So let's try to sell some people listening, now that I know there's people listening, sell them on the idea of mentorship. What would you say in terms of people who are really making it, who are successful? How many of them would you say have a mentor either currently or at some point on the track to success?
Most successful people do, right? Like very few successful people make it on their own. Like everyone says, there's that weird saying, self-made man, self-made woman, self-made millionaire. And I don't know. That's a fallacy. There's no such thing as self-made. Like there's no such thing as you did it all by yourself. You always have a team. Even if you don't have a team, you got customers. The customer for the customers, you wouldn't have made it, right? And if it wasn't for the customer feedback, you wouldn't have made those adjustments to make everything better. So there's no such thing as really as self-made. So being able to accelerate by getting a mentor helps you go faster, right? And so like I have mentors. My mentors kick the crap out of me all the time. They're like, hey man, like I know you're doing great and all, but you can stick a 0 at the end of that. I'm like, what? Excuse me? What do you mean stick a 0 at the end of that? He's like, it's nothing but a 0. I'm like, yeah, that's 10 times. So if I'm making $1 million, the mentor's like, hey, but look at that guy. It's almost like having, and I can say this because I'm Asian, having Asian parents. Right? The Asian parents are like, why can't you be like your cousin? Why can't you be like this guy? Why can't you be like that guy? Look at that guy. And there's that one Asian guy who was like a Navy SEAL and like an astronaut and some other crazy thing. And I'm like, what? You were what? Like all 3? Right? It's like, yeah, I can't be that guy. Oh my God. So
you think his parents are disappointed in him that he didn't do 4 things?
Probably. It's like, oh, you could have done this. I'm like, dude, I got 3, man.
You know what? I'll bet they're mad at him for not doing. He probably flunked his piano lessons.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Didn't become a famous musician.
Well, there you go. Like for Asian stereotypes, I can play piano, but I can't play ping pong or sing karaoke. So I'm a failure as a Filipino.
Dude,
so there you go. So my karaoke game, absolutely terrible. Piano, not bad. I bring honor to my Asian heritage, but ping pong, it's rough, man. So all those years of training with sticks and knives, the swing for a stick or a knife is very different than a swing for a paddle, right? So I keep, every once in a while I get the PTSD moment, like, and then I just swing for the fences. You're not supposed to hit home runs in ping pong, just saying. So, a home run in ping pong is a bad thing. So there you go.
All right. I'm going axe throwing, by the way, for my birthday on the weekend. So I'll let you know how I do.
Axe throwing. I can't remember, but I saw this one guy threw the axe so hard he screwed up, hit it with the wrong end, and it still made it in.
Oh yeah, he put the handle in the wall.
Yeah, the handle in there. So there you go.
What would his mentor say about that?
Well, if you can't axe throw good, axe throw hard.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, so here on the list we have what a mentor isn't. And a mentor is not for loans. They are not a bank.
So I had this one guy ask me out of the blue, hey, Earl, would you be my mentor? Sure, I'll help teach you. And then a week later, hey, can you give me money? What? And I'm like, that's the only reason you asked me to be your mentor? Yeah, can I have some money? No. Right? So mentors aren't there to give you loans, or not. They're definitely not a bank. They're not there to fund your business, except for in special cases. Like, I mean, like some of the professors, for the guys you taught, the guys over at Google and Facebook and everything else, sometimes professors will invest if they think it's good enough, right? I mean, so, but don't think that that's what they're for, right? Usually the prof or the mentor or whoever is there to teach you, show you the way, but they're not necessarily there to give you a bunch of money, right? So don't ask your mentor a week after joining him, hey, can I have some money?
You're going to lose your mentor.
That's a terrible, yeah. So yeah, after that we just stopped talking. I'm like, that's weird, but all right, sure. I was still willing to help the guy, but he was so awkward afterwards. He just never wanted to talk to me ever again. So.
Well, if he's watching, he'll know he can come around for another second glance.
I will help still teach you. You know who you are.
But I guess if someone does lend you money, they're probably going to want to also mentor you because they don't want you to screw up the money. But that's if they come at you as an investor first, right?
Well, that's a cool thing. Like one of the things that I'm part of is this group that invests in companies. And before they invest in that company, they get me to mentor the business owner to make sure that when they give them the money, it doesn't just all go to hookers and blow, which legitimately actually happened twice.
Oh my God. What?
So we have these investors who dump the money in this company, and the owner just loses their mind completely. And it's like, hey, let's go party. And I'm like, that's good. And so so watching them blow the money on literally hookers and blow, I'm like, that's different. I'm pretty sure the investors wouldn't appreciate that, but all right.
No.
So
is that where the term blowing money comes from?
Maybe.
So when would a entrepreneur or a mentor get into funding the business?
If the mentor is in the business of business funding, right? Like I have mentors, and that's what they do. They look for businesses to either acquire or take a piece of or whatever else in exchange for mentorship and potential funds. So if that's their business, yeah, go for it. But if that's not their business, ask if you have a deep enough relationship, right? So some of my mentors have funded some of my ventures, but that's because I was showing them what I was doing. They were mentoring me through it. They're like, hey, are you looking for investors? Like they asked me, hey, are you looking for investors? I said, well, yes, if you want to play. Yeah, absolutely. And the funny thing is, because they're my mentors, I try to take care of their money a little deeper than I would care of my own, right? So it's almost, it's almost like, oh, this is now really even more precious than my own money, right? It's my mentor's money. I can't screw this up. So there you go.
Never thought about that. You work harder if you're playing with someone else's money.
Well, you'll always do more for other people than you will do for yourself.
Yeah.
Right. If you had asked me to do this podcast by myself, this would never have happened. One day we're just talking and we're like, hey, want to make a podcast? Absolutely. And now I have to show up because otherwise you'll be here by yourself.
Yeah. Right. That's not going to work.
And you have to show up. Yeah, there you go. Or the Earl and the Earl. So there's a fun interview right there.
Not going to work.
Right? So there you go.
I should probably reveal my big secret here, which is that this has all just been a scam to have you mentor me.
There you go.
I could just ask you all the questions I want to ask you, and you think I'm doing you a favor.
Hey, whatever. This is fun.
Works for me.
And we're making data the whole time, so there you go.
Yeah. Okay. So now there's probably a lot of people listening, of the thousands, undoubtedly, of people that are listening now. Now, it's like exterminators always say, if you see one cockroach, there's 100. Actually, that's a bad analogy, because it sounds like I'm calling our listeners cockroaches. So let me backtrack that analogy.
There you go.
I am an idiot. Yeah, that's my excuse. Every time I say something dumb on the air, I can say an idiot. But it's like, I met one, so I assume there's 1,000 kicking around somewhere out there, unless he's like the only guy tuning in and just also happened to be at that event that day. But anyway,
he's never commented or liked any of our stuff.
Oh, really? He's a lurker.
So he's a lurker.
Jason, click the like button. Tell us you're out there. Exactly. We can connect on LinkedIn. But anyway, these cockroaches out there listening.
All right, Kanye.
Yeah. Oh my God. Don't. That's going to get, the algorithm is going to find that someone saying that word and get us banned for that. The word is Kanye.
There you go. There's this really good painting my buddy has. It's like, I love you as much as Kanye loves Kanye. And I thought that was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
He does like the sound of his own ideas, doesn't he?
There you go.
Oh my God. Anyway, moving rapidly on from that. So the people listening at home are probably going, gee, sure would like me one of them mentors.
Yeah.
Should do they go to the mentor? Do they go to mentors.com and sign up? Do they go to the mentor store and pick one off the wall? How do you land a mentor?
Well, that brings me to the since we're going to go that direction anyways, that's what I had planned for.
Swing.
The hack of the week.
Sorry, do it again. Do it again. Hack of the week.
There you go.
We need reverb.
Yeah, definitely. My sister's an audio technician, so maybe I can ask her how to do that. Perfect. So to find a mentor, just seek those who've done what you're seeking to do, right? If someone's built that particular type of business or that particular type of thing, that or structure, that charity, whatever it is. So, and the hack of the week is figure out a way to serve those potential mentors and reach out to them and help them. That's how I got a bunch of my mentors. Right? Because most of the time, everyone's going, hey, can you help me do this? Can you help me do that? Hey, can I pick your brain? Can I buy you lunch? Da, 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 da. And so most people are going out saying, help me, help me, help me. Whereas the ones that ask the mentor, hey, how can I help you? They stand out like a sore thumb. And
like, how can I help you
attention.
Do a podcast or something?
Right, there you go. And you get more chances to find a mentor that way by helping people out. And the neat thing is, because you're just helping people, what goes around truly does come back around, right? Not necessarily back from the same people, but I have helped one person do something, and then another person who'd be a potential mentor said, hey, I saw what you did for that guy. Can you do that for me too? Absolutely. Right? Let's trade. And they teach me $1 million ideas and $1 million structures. I'm like, wow, that was great for 3 hours of my time. I'm like, holy cow, how much would I have paid to get that same amount of training? and they're selling the program for like 30 grand, 50 grand, 100 grand, whatever it was.
Mm.
I got it for putting together a PowerPoint once. So it's just, what can you help them with? Because nobody's good at everything, right? Mentor or not, nobody's good at everything. So one guy was this brilliant content, brilliant everything, sucked at PowerPoint, like looked really terrible at PowerPoint. I go, some of the worst slides I've ever seen. So I just read his entire presentation. Hey, I like it like this. You said these things that really stood out to me. He's like, oh my God, can I use this? Yours now. Can I come to your next program? I got invited to everything that you had. Right?
Wow.
It didn't cost me a thing. I got to go to everything. I made presentations on everything. But the neat part is I got to then relearn the content, got to have one-on-one time with them saying, hey, does this diagram make sense for what you were teaching? And I got to learn it at an even deeper clip. So there's my hack of the week. Like if you want to find a mentor, just find people who are ahead of the path that you're going down or what you want to go down, and then see if you can help them, because not everybody's good at everything. So
I think that's kind of a larger notion, which is just, you outflow what you want to inflow. If you're just trying to like take all the time,
right,
it's important to be giving, right?
Well, it's a weird, juxtaposition, whereas everybody's always asking for stuff. If you're the only one giving stuff or trying to give back right now, realize that there's some mentors I can never ever pay back. Right, these guys make tens of millions a year, hundreds of millions a year, and no matter with the biggest check I could ever come up with, forever, would never even make a dent in their lifestyle. And that's what they spend on Vegas in the weekend. I'm like, oh crap, right? So it's like, well, I can never pay these people back. So this is why I do the podcast. This is why we do the Tuesday meetups, right? This is why we do the things that we do. I want to go help 1 million entrepreneurs because my mentors were helping 1 million entrepreneurs. And I think I can do the same. So I'm just, what was it like? If you make it to the top, don't forget to send the elevator back down, right? So I'm not at the top yet, but I mean, I can help people because someone helped me, right? Like
you're several floors up. You might not be at the top. You're several floors up.
Well, I wish somebody told me that you could get paid forever for a joint venture. Never in a million years. I thought, okay, a joint venture, I help you, you help me, I pay you, you pay me, game over. Shake hands, go on to the next. Never in a million years that I think, oh wait, you can make a perpetual joint venture forever and make money forever. So it's like, oh damn it. So there's some projects that I was part of that were part of some like major brands that if I had known this joint venture thing, I'd be making millions of dollars, passively doing nothing. I'm like, So, I learn stuff too all the time, right? So, what qualifies me to be a mentor is I've screwed up more times than you've tried. So there you go.
Yeah. I made a website for a guy who's architect, or not an architectural, but a construction consultant. Right. He just, you put him in charge of making, like, he's not doing anything. He's just there making sure everybody else is not screwing up.
Right.
And the slogan we came up with for him is, I've made in 75 years, I've made every mistake you can make, or not 75 years, 34 years. I've made every mistake you can make. Call me so you don't have to.
Right.
Which is exactly that. He was he actually flew in. He's important enough to get flown in by helicopter.
Oh, nice.
You know what I mean? Like just for an afternoon, they pay for a helicopter to bring him up to the job site. And he was like, hey guys, that place you're going to lay that foundation, that's all just loose rubble. You actually need to like compact that down and not just use, loose nonsense. And they're like, but we don't want to. And he's like, you have to.
You'd think that'd be common sense, though, compact it before you put the foundation down so the whole thing doesn't slide like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Just,
right. Well, the Leaning Tower of Pisa makes tons of money, so maybe it's a good idea.
Maybe that's the plan. It's like, no one can live in this condo no more, but everyone wants to take a picture next to it, doing this.
They were kind of mad at him because it added like $700,000 or $70,000 or something to the job. But it would have been a lot worse if they put it in there without doing it right in the first place.
And the whole building falls over, and they go, yeah, but we saved 70 grand by switching to Geico. Anyway.
You mentioned on here there's something called Futurepreneur will assign you to a mentor. What's that all about?
So the question was like, should you really pay for a mentor? And the answer is yes and no. So, but you can find free mentors everywhere. So I'm a mentor for the program called Futurepreneur.
Yeah.
So Futurepreneur is a thing where you can apply as a potential, business owner to be. And if they like your business idea, they'll fund you. And part of the catch is that they stick you with a mentor so that the mentor makes sure that you don't blow the money on clearly hookers and blow. So so there's a group called Futurepreneur, and there's a bunch of other groups as well that assign and they match mentors to mentees. And it's great. I think it's a wonderful little program, right? There's the mentors don't get paid for this. We're just volunteers.
Yeah.
And we just help people starting a business, whether it's a tattoo parlor or making pillows or doing internal interior design or whatever. Those are the three of the people I helped out. There's a bunch of people just doing regular everyday businesses, and a mentor helps them by asking them terrible questions like, hey, do you really need a website for this one thing of your thing, or can we skip that part and just publish it now? Right? Some people are stuck in analysis paralysis, that state of perfectionism, but it's not perfect yet. I'm like, great, that's why you have to ship it now, right? So there you have it.
So now, what about paying for a mentor? Like, would that be more like what you call a business coach if you're actually just hiring the service, right?
No,
yes,
I've paid for mentors, right? I've probably spent at least $500,000 on mentors and mentorship. So,
what's the difference between a business coach and a mentor?
The mentor's job is to guide you along the way. The coach's job is to make sure your head isn't firmly planted up your ass. So, like a mentor will be like, hey, go this direction. The coach is sitting there telling you, hey, do the damn push-up. Right?
Okay.
So typically the coach would be a better accountability buddy. This is my own experience of what I've seen so far.
Yeah.
Right. The mentors are more like, shepherd, or like, hey, flock, go this way. Right. Whereas the coach is like, they get down, they get in your face, and they go do the damn push-up. Right. So that's the differential, right? The mentors are just kind of the guideposts. And the coaches are coaches, right?
So where do you go to pay for a mentor then?
There's tons of mentorship programs out there where you could literally pay for a mentor, right? Just look for people who are successful in your line of work, and typically you need to find a relevant mentor, right? So if you're looking to become, I don't know, a dentist, right, and you're the chainsaw guy who cuts down trees, you're probably going to want to find
a mentor.
They should kind of match, right? What was it? You're just doing plumbing. So my go-to joke is you don't go to a plumber to fix your teeth, right? So the monkey wrench is a little big, just comparatively speaking to the little dental tools, right? So there you go.
I get interested. I'm just looking, actually, I get interested in words. I'm actually wondering what the derivation, where the word mentor comes from originally.
Isn't there like a word for that word, where like you're looking up the
etymology?
Etymology.
Not to be confused with entomology. Etymology.
Right. Etymology.
Yeah, that's the history of where the word comes from.
Cool.
So I was speaking to an Italian guy who was laughing at me. He's like, in Italian, it's like, oh, well, it just came from Latin.
Right.
Oh, well, it was the Latin word, and now we just made it into the Italian word. Whereas in
and
English,
then you
it's
have
like,
to do this, right? Clearly, because if you don't do this, then it's not really Italian.
They don't even speak Italian. Oh my God, I saw this great video the other day of this little kid. She's like 6, 7 years old, and she's speaking Italian, and she's doing this. She's like, I can't tell what she's saying, but it's like, Mama, please, come on, give me more spaghetti or whatever. You know what I mean?
Oh man,
oh my God, we just lost all our Italian viewers.
Or gained all of them.
Yeah, exactly. Like, hey, this guy gets it.
There you go.
Where's my spaghetti at? Why am I having a hard time finding the derivation of this? Dictionary.com. There we go.
It's got the history and everything, right? Somewhere in there.
Word history. Come on. No one cares about derivations. Mentorial. Oh no, it's
Knowing me, I would type it by accident and end up with menstrual, but whatever.
No, don't do that. From Greek mentor.
Yeah. So wait, the word mentor in Greek is mentor?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Just a Greek word meaning guide. There you go. That's what you're saying.
There you go. See,
Shows
guide.
you the way.
Not the guy that makes you do the push-ups. That's the difference. Coach.
There
Guy
you
who
go.
makes you do the push-ups, right? Like a squat
Look at
deeper.
derivation of coach next.
There
Oh, no,
you
I
go.
spent too long doing that. My phone closed out. Hold on.
Uh-oh. It exploded.
So yeah, so
So-
we're
Well, I got some own, like, if people want to hear like mentor stories of like
Yeah.
mentors mentoring me or me mentoring other people, like I can.
I was just gonna say,
talk.
give us some times where someone blew your mind or you blew someone's mind with some mentorship.
So
Let's make it real here.
yeah, sure. Well, like my own mentor had to convince me to quit my job,
Oh.
even though I was earning 300% of what I was making normally,
Hmm.
off the side of my desk part time. So I was doing a side hustle, and my mentor looks at me and is like, "Why do you still work a day job?" He's like, "You took your old annual income and it is now your monthly income." I'm like, "Yeah."
Hmm.
And I'd only been doing this for like, I guess, 6 months at a time. So I only had 3 months worth of savings. He's like, "Well, how much do you make in a year?" "This much." "Cool. How much do you have in the bank?" "Like triple that." He's like, "Okay, so you're telling me that you're spending part-time doing this. You're making 3 times as much. You're still going to work. Why?" And it just hit me between the eyes. I'm like, because that's what I was raised to do. Like, go to school, get a job, make a bunch of money, da 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 da. There was never a, hey, go be an entrepreneur, make like 10 times that money in less than half the time. And now what do you do with your time? Right. So I quit my job, and then I made my first $1 million, and then I retired. Just so like, oh, that's what you're supposed to do when you make a gajillion. You retired, right? So I did. I tried the whole retirement thing. I was 24 at the time.
Wow. Yeah.
It did not work. I went to, I think, 3 beaches before I wanted to kill myself. I'm like, I can't do this, right?
Yeah.
All the beaches look the same after a while. I mean, some are nicer than others, but the beach is the beach. So I went from like friend to friend to friend, following them around during the lunch hour, just so I could spend time with my friends. So like, I can't work with them no more because I can't work there. It doesn't make any sense. So yeah, so that same mentor. So that was a good part of my life. And then
So let me ask you. Hang on, let me ask you. What was it? So it was your learned behavior, and that this mentor had to come pull you out of it.
yeah,
That's kind of a common thing? Yeah. I knew we were going to bring up Yoda eventually. We were talking about mentors. I knew we'd have to bring up Yoda. So you must unlearn what you have learned, says Yoda.
Well, yeah, absolutely. So here's one that's not even in the notes, right? Like, so I switched martial arts styles.
Oh no, don't go off script. I'll be lost.
And I've been moving a certain way, because I've been fighting a certain way for 12, 15 years, right? And
drunken style? Were you fighting drunken style?
They tell I can't get drunk, so I can't learn drunken style, apparently. So this is terrible. But so I had to do, this is crazy. I had to relearn how to walk and how to move. So I had to practice this new movement for like 3 football fields before it became natural, because I had to unlearn what I had before. So the unlearning part is much, much harder than the learning part. Learning is actually easy. Unlearning is difficult as hell. So
yeah. I think we sort of grow up at a certain age, and we're just, we when you're young, you just grab onto every fact you possibly can, and a lot of them are wrong, I guess.
Well, yeah, back in the day, there wasn't the internet, there wasn't Wikipedia. It was just some old ass Encyclopedia Britannica that you got dusty off the shelf. And if the W book was missing, you were SOL for any W words.
Yeah,
right?
I like that meme. I saw a meme somewhere where it was like, "Hey, what did you do before the internet when you wanted to know stuff?" It's like, well, Aunt Martha would tell you some wrong information, and you'd carry that around for 20 years.
Yeah, exactly. They tell you something wrong, and there's no way to check it. If it wasn't in the encyclopedia, you're SOL. That's it. There's nothing else you can do. So that was the good part of my life. The bad part of my life, a bunch of my family had passed away all in quick succession. My grandma, my grandpa, and my dad in like a short amount of time. And I'm like, so I was really sad and depressed. I was literally like thinking suicidal thoughts. The same mentor, his old job was to talk to people who were going to go jump off a building. So, like, funny enough, that was his old job. He talked to me, and he talked me out of jumping on, off a building. I'm like, hey, that was really useful. So mentors can save your life, absolutely. Wow. So he literally did, because I was like super broken. Another mentor, like, mentors aren't just about business. I had a mentor for health, right? So I had a mentor for health. He took my A1C blood sugar. So use your blood sugar for diabetes, because I have diabetes type 2. He took it down from 13 all the way down to 6.9, and 6 and below is normal. So I'm almost cured. Like, he almost reversed this damn thing. So I'm like, oh, holy cow. So he literally saved my life too, right? So mentors can definitely save your life. On the other side of the coin, me mentoring other people. around the same time when my dad died, other people kept on coming to me to be their mentor, and I said, no, go away, leave me alone, I'm really sad right now. And one of them just kept on harping on me. So I gave him essentially this Herculean task that I thought he'd never complete. I said, here you go, do this, go away, don't bother me till you get this done. So I dared him to start a charity. I dared him to start a charity. He went off and he did. And now that charity, that entity feeds 10,000 people a day.
Wow.
So I'm like, wait, what? Holy crap. And so my
all because Earl wanted to be left alone.
Yeah, I had basically go away stamped on my forehead. And I gave him some incredible tasks to go do, and he did it. And I mentored him, and then he went on his way. So anyway, another one went from like a scrappy startup, barely making 5 figures anywhere, to 6 figures in short order. Now he's building infrastructure to hit 7. Right? It's incredible watching people's growth and doing that sort of thing. And the other thing is you can mentor to give back too. Like some of the teams I built before are the ones that helped me raise the 100 million for charity the first time around. So there are things, there's that power of mentorship. You can help people grow beyond what you could have done by yourself, right? Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't have been able to raise $100 million for charity if it wasn't for the mentees and the team, right, that I was teaching. So it's funny because I've kind of given this, how you can inherit like a style or inherit like whatever. So I kind of willed it to somebody, to one of my current mentees now, and now he's running around trying to save the world, raising under $100 million for charity. So I'm like, okay, you are now, the progeny. You. This is your project now. You got to go do this, right? And he's running around doing it. So it's interesting seeing what the power of mentorship can do. When you want to pay it forward, when you want to give back, when you want to help out. So it's just fascinating to me what the the whole student teacher relationship kind of thing, and what you can do with that kind of firepower.
I'll take a second to say that this don't want to get off on a rant, but I've generally been noticing that there's this sort of shortcoming in society right now where people try to take moral lessons from fiction.
Right.
Okay. Follow me along here. Like people make movies, but it's a fictional world. And in a fictional world, this sort of morality works out and things are this way. And people think that's reality. Like people are way too into fiction. And in reality, what I've found is that business owners are great people. And people who've had success really want to help others have success. In movies, the business owner is always the bad guy. The rich guy is always the bad guy, right? He's the jerk, and the broke guy is the hero. And you know what I mean? Like like just take the Hallmark movies.
Right. Every Hallmark movie, the bad guy.
Hallmark movie. Yeah. The bad guy, the jerk, is the guy who's oriented to his business, trying to make a living, and the woman's like, no way, I'm going to leave you for this guy that refills snow globes in my hometown,
right?
And it's like the other guy's just trying to make a living out there,
right?
But in reality, like business owners and wealthy people that I've met, they've all been really great. I can't even think of a single jerk business owner event. Actually, no, there's one. Anyway.
Yeah. I have a couple, but here's a story I've never told anybody.
Okay.
Back when I was learning, I never thought that it'd be weird to just go ask, right? So I walked through the richest parts of our area, just knocking on random doors saying, hi, I'd like to, live in this area one day. What do you do for a living? And just randomly asking them, who are you? What do you do? I got a bunch of doors slammed in my face. But for the ones who were nice, they actually invited me in, fed me, gave me like tea and cookies and stuff. And they're like, okay, this is what we do. We import export. This is how we do our stuff. And this is how all the stuff works. I'm like, wow, I didn't think you teach me that much. Right. It's just like, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
So
you've read, I'm sure, Richest Man in Babylon.
Absolutely.
Which, you could think that would contradict the idea of taking advice from fiction, but that's fiction written by a guy who's been there, done that, and he's just using the fiction to illustrate his points. But
I love Augmentino's stuff. It's always interesting the way he pulls it, right?
But there's the part in there where the what's his name? The shield maker goes to see the moneylender. You know what I mean? And the money lender's like, what do you want? Money? Get out of here. And the shield lender's like, no, I just wanted to ask you some advice. And the gold lender's like, oh, finally someone wants to ask me for advice. Sit down. And he like pulls out the blanket and they sit down and have a whole feast while the guy applies him for advice. And it's like, yeah, people are keen to talk about what they're up to and love to help others for the most part. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that my favorite thing I got from that book was the scrolls, right? There's those mantras that you just read this thing and say it for the next 30 days, right? If you remember that part, most people read it, but they don't do it.
Yeah, I didn't
right?
mantra it.
It was pretty interesting. So I've had lots of students who read the book. I go, but did you do it? I'm like, no. Did you do it? No. Did you do it? No. So one guy had like the worst attitude in the universe. And I got him to read the scrolls. And when he was done, he stopped being an asshole. I'm like, wow. Like it was just new person. I'm like, what the hell? And it just came from that one, bit of guidance, right? Like, hey, like, don't just read the book, do the book. So he actually morning, noon, and night read the scrolls out loud and just became a nicer, more giving, more gentle person. I'm like, oh, wow, this shit works. So Jeez. There you go.
I didn't do the scrolls. I'll have to go back. I guess that's why you're the Earl and I'm the idiot, right?
Well, here's a crazy idea that I've been wanting to do for years, actually years. It's been, oh my gosh, I read that book when it like ages ago.
Yeah.
And I've been wanting to make the scrolls. I actually wanted to go find some old ass paper, but like leather it up and toughen it up and so it wouldn't rip and stuff, and actually make scrolls to actually whip out and actually say the mantra. And I'm like, that would be really cool because then I would do it more often. Yeah. Like I did it once, but I've been meaning to do it again. It's been I think 12 years since I read that book, and so I've been meaning to do it again. Haven't gotten around to it. I'm like, if I had those scrolls, But all I can picture right now is that scene from Kung Fu Panda where there's nothing on the damn scroll. But anyway.
The scroll was inside you all along.
Yeah, there you go. You are the special thing.
Yeah. Maybe we should do an episode on the scrolls. That'd be some content. I don't know if we run into any copyright issues.
That'd be really interesting.
I think you're okay with copyright if you're discussing it. If you're talking about the thing you're using.
Well, yeah. So even if you quote it and then you credit the source and then you discuss around it, you're essentially creating creator type material around the thing. So
great.
Unless it's Disney, then they come running for you.
Yeah. Next week we will discuss Satisfaction by the Rolling Stones, so we can play that. How to achieve satisfaction in business, and then
as long as we don't touch Metallica, because those guys will come after you.
Yeah, Lars is hiding under my bed waiting.
I told you can't play that song. There you
go. What about just this idea that like it's lonely at the top when you're the business owner? It's good to just have someone to talk to.
That's true. Like it is lonely being like the business owner, right? For years and years, people had to fight me tooth and nail to get me to the number one spot, because I was always the schemer, right? Like I was always no. I would fight tooth and nail to get the second in command every single time, because second in command had all the power of the leader, but none of the final responsibility. I always had one more place to pass the buck. So
you're always better to be Riker than Picard, right?
I was always, absolutely, man. Riker was way better. So it's like Picard had all the responsibility, and he had to count all them lights.
And he doesn't get to go on the away team missions. So come on.
There you go. Well, sometimes he does, but yeah, man, no, I fought tooth and nail to stay in second place all the time. I would fight as hard as I could to get the second place, and then I would just hold my ground and never go to first position, because first position was where the buck stopped, right? But it wasn't until I finally got fed up of the first position screwing everything up sometimes that I'm like, okay, you know what, I can do this, and I finally took the plunge and did it. Funny enough, at the behest of a mentor. So I had two mentors, one of them who got me out of the regular 9-to-5 working job. And this is the one who got me going. But the guy's like a bull in the china shop. He's like not elegant, right? Everything he does is just everything's on fire, but somehow he finds his way through. And I'm like, I don't know how you do this like this. Like, how can you live like this every day, right? And so, but I mean, that's sometimes you need that action step to really pull you out, to get you going. And then I had another mentor almost immediately afterwards, who my first one introduced me to, who actually gave, balance to the force and structure. And no, your hair doesn't have to be consistently on fire, and you don't always have to shoot first and from the hip, right? So there you
So maybe
go.
it's good to get a couple of perspectives.
Plus, you don't need to necessarily like just commit to just one mentor, right? At the point of time when my father had passed away, it took 3 mentors to pull my head out of my butt and not be sad all the damn time. So it took 3, and I had weekly calls with all of them. And so, oh my God, it was Mentor Wednesday. And so Wednesday was my hell day, because I had 3 mentors kick the crap out of me on the same day. One kicked the crap out of me in the morning, one kicked the crap out of me at lunchtime, and one kicked the crap out of me after work. And I'm like, all right. But I did truly ask for it though, right? Like, and I got a different perspective from each one, which was really interesting. But the successful guys, the funny thing is, they all pointed the same general direction. Like there was never ever 2 mentors pointing opposite directions, going go left and go right. It was like, no, what do you think about this? They asked me. That's something else I found about really good about mentors. They ask the damnedest questions, right? They ask like these questions that make you think. And a really good mentor doesn't just spoon feed you all the answers. They force you to think. Right. It drives me crazy, because after the sessions with one of my mentors, my brain would literally hurt for a week up until the next session. It would hurt. And then he explained, though, it's because your brain is growing. I'm like, what? Because he actually studies the brain, and he's like, okay, well, this is how fast human ganglia grow in your brain, and it takes this long. And when you're treading through paths you've never gone before, right? Like, just think about going through the bushes and you got a big machete, and if you've ever gone that way, of course it's overgrown, right? And the more times you use the machete, the more times you walk through that path, it becomes an actual path.
The more your arm's going to hurt the first time you go through.
Oh, absolutely. And so every time he hit me with a new idea, or an idea that I wasn't, I just came out of left field for me, my brain would just like ache. It's just like, what are you doing? And it was funny, because he would ask these terrible questions. I had to come up with answers by the time the next session was, right? And it was an interesting experience for sure. Wow. So.
Okay, we're coming up to the end of the show. That went well, I thought. So let's just put it in a nutshell. What would you say to an entrepreneur who's out there struggling, and maybe through it actually kind of comes back to the theme of the show, don't assume you know all the answers or that you can do it yourself. What would you say to that guy who's trying to make it himself out there and doesn't have a mentor?
Find a mentor. If you don't have one, you're on your own, right? And doing stuff on your own is never as easy as when you've got even just a sounding board, right? You might have some cockamamie idea or a brilliant idea, but you don't know which way it's going to go. Bouncing it off someone who's been there, they can at least, give you some, reflection and say, well, I've never tried that, but here's something similar that I've tried. This is what happened. This is something else similar that I've tried. Here's what happened. Feel free to do this, but here's the landmines for which to watch out for. Right. And then, your cockamamie idea might become a successful one, right? Who knows?
I guess, it's sometimes on Dragon's Den, the advice they give is stop what you're doing, stop investing money in this. This is not going to work. Sometimes that's what you need to hear. But I think most of our viewers, I'm sure, are smarter than that, even though they're tuning into the Idiot Show.
Absolutely. Well, I got the ending queued up whenever you're ready.
Nice. So we gotta make sure we actually get the website up and running and the and everything. So we'll talk about that after off the air. I won't even mention it on the air at all. Oh wait, too late.
There we go. Well, puts a little pressure. No pressure at all. Oh God.
Yeah, there you go. All right, hit it. Let's do it.
All right, here we go.
And I'll point in the right direction.
Thanks for listening to Earl and the Idiot. We hope you learned something you can take action on this week. For more information or to contact the show, visit earlandtheidiot.com. And until next time, remember what Shakespeare said. The fool doth think he is wise, but the wise man knows himself to be a fool.
Thanks everybody for tuning in.
Cheers, everybody.